Good day everyone. I will be discussing the Module 6, Identifying Diseases of Feeder Stocks of our subject Feedlot Management. Livestock play an important role in the rural livelihood and economy as they provide nourishment as food and as well as income and employment for producers and farmers. In the Philippines, majority of our cattle farming is backyard cattle farming or feedlot. Large ruminants such as cattle and carabao are generally known for their rusticity and great adaptability to different topographies, soils, and climatic factors. However, they can still be afflicted with various infectious diseases that greatly affect their production performance. Cattle suffer from different varieties of diseases, which are most common. The cattle are kept in tight quarters, especially those in feedlots or cut and carry. Yung kanilang space are napakaliit or masyado namang overcrowded yung kanilang space. And diseases are also more common among stressed animals such as calves, wind, bagong walay lang, and also ship immediately to new locations. Yung pagka binili, transport, ayun, nagkakaroon ng stress yung ating animals. And keeping new animals quarantined until you're sure they aren't suffering from disease is a simple herd management practice that can keep the majority of your livestock healthy by reducing the number of potential transmitted diseases. We can categorize the common cattle diseases as respiratory, the diseases that causes respiratory symptoms, enteric, which develop in the intestinal tract, skin and hooves, and the neurological diseases. Many diseases can be prevented through good herd management, good animal husbandry practices, proper nutrition, and of course vaccinations. To give us an overview of the cattle digestion and appetite. So, alam naman natin ang ating mga ruminants ay mayroong 4 stomach compartments. And the rumen is the largest compartment. It can hold more than 25 gallons of feed material for fermentation over time. So the fermentation process in the rumen generates heat inside of the animal for up to 6 hours after feeding. So unang napapansin natin, pagka may sakit yung ating baka, ayaw kumain. So digestion issues rank among the most common livestock health problems, and they are typically the result of stress from handling, calving, overheating, and overcrowded conditions, and other factors. One of the reasons why our cattle won't eat is ketosis, or also known as acetonemia. Ketosis is a metabolic disorder that occurs in cattle when energy demands exceed energy intake and result in a negative energy balance. Ketotic cows often have low blood glucose concentration. So, yung blood glucose niya mababa, no? So, when large amounts of body fat are utilized as an energy source to support production, fat is sometimes mobilized faster than the liver can properly metabolize it. If these situations occur, ketone production exceeds ketone utilization by the cow and ketosis results. So, anong magagawa natin dito? Of course, bigyan natin siya ng yung glucose replacement. Pwedeng IV ng glucose or bigyan siya ng drench. Another is the acidosis. Ito naman yung pH level ng rumen ay biglang bumagsak Mm. So it can occur when cattle gain accidental access to grain or byproduct stores, or if they ingest a much larger amount of starch-based concentrates such as wheat or barley or any starch-based concentrates that normally receive. This could be due to faulty feed heads, feeding in paddock trough, or a mistake in the ration calculation with partial mix ration or total mix ration. So ano magagawa natin dito? So if mild lang siya, siguro pwede nating tanggalin yung source nung nagkokos ng acidosis, no? Then pwede natin silang bigyan ng magnesium oxide. Yung severely affected animals, kailangan dito mga IV fluid therapy na, or kailangan tanggalin yung laman ng rumen. Next is scars, or in other term, diarrhea. The infected animals have yellowish white and foul-smelling feces. The hindquarters are dirty. The calf becomes dull and weak and loses weight. The eyes become sunken, breathing rapidly, and the body temperature is low or drops below the normal. The common pathogens that can cause calf scars includes, actually there are many different possible causes. So it can be bacteria, viruses, or parasites, especially the protozoan parasites. The key preventive control measures for this is proper sanitation, and also the calf should be able to suck all the colostrum milk. So also the calves showing symptoms of this diarrhea should be separated from the rest of the herd and treated promptly. Okay, we move forward for the reasons cattle won't drink. So kanina na-discuss natin yung reasons, possible reasons bakit ayaw kumain yung ating mga baka. Ngayon naman, reasons bakit ayaw uminom ng ating baka. So, daily water requirements for cattle usually run high and vary based upon age, environmental and pasture conditions, weather, yung temperature, and others. So, ang isang baka pwedeng uminom ng 3 hanggang 30 gallons of water per day. Most common na reason bakit ayaw uminom ng ating baka is yung maduming water source. Sometimes urine and dung can find their ways into the ponds and streams on the pasture land, and the cattle may refuse to drink the contaminated water. Pwede rin yung ating local water source, o yung mga galing sa poso or sa gripo, iba yung lasa. So, instinct na lang din ng mga ating cattle na siguro ito mataas ang bacteria or may risk of parasites or other harmful organisms, hindi sila umiinom. And even clean water that have kakaiba yung taste, kasi sometimes yung parang bagong transport yung ating animal, nilipat sila sa isang lugar, bago yung lasa ng tubig, so naninibago sila, no? Iba yung flavor ng tubig, so ayun, ayaw nilang uminom. And pagka hindi sila uminom, of course, yung cattle natin very prone sa dehydration, and this condition can become progress into heat stress, or ayan, pinakakuan na is yung dehydration, tapos magkakaroon siya ng stress and magkakasakit. So anong magagawa natin to encourage our cattle to drink enough water? So we need to provide fresh drinking water sa kanilang water trough, frequent changing ng water, o kaya mas maganda kung running water siya, and ensure plenty of trough to accommodate cattle. Kasi minsan, yung ibang cattle natin may submissive, hindi sila makasingit doon sa mga dominant na mga cattle, no? Kaya dapat din medyo enough yung trough natin para sa lahat ng cattle pwedeng uminom anytime na gusto nila. So kanina nabanggit natin yung low water intake may lead to dehydration and heat stress. So sino nga ba yung mga greater risk ng heat stress? Yung mga malalaking cattle, of course yung feedlot cattle kasi naka-confine lang sila sa maliit na lugar. Yung cattle with respiratory problems, yung mga bata, saka yung matatandang baka natin. Gaya nga na sabi ko kanina, small enclosures, masikip lang yung lugar, mainit, Tapos yung mga cattle na walang water supply din, inadequate water supply, or contaminated yung water kaya ayaw nilang uminom. So what are the signs of heat stress? Of course, slow or cease feeding, mahinang kumain or ayaw kumain, restless behavior and the herd moving together as a group. Water consumption will significantly increase kasi nga mainit. So gusto nilang inom ng inom. Increase heart rates in an effort to cool down the blood through circulation. In severe stages, distressed cattle will slobber and drool. Yung naglalaway na, kalabas yung dila, parang aso na nakalawit na yung kanilang dila. Tapos, ayan, open mouth panting and labored breathing in desperate attempt to cool down. If we see our herd begins to exhibit signs of heat stress, we need to act quickly to avoid further distress. We can sprinkler the cattle with water, paliguan natin, bigay tayo ng bagong drinking water, and feed cattle large meals toward the end of the day. Huwag tayong magpakain sa katanghalian na sobrang init, Kasi yung kanilang pagkain mag-produce din siya ng heat. So madadagdag sa kanilang body temperature yung heat. So it's best to give feed in the late afternoon or in the evening. Ito naman yung listahan ng mga diseases, infections, and infestation sa cattle. This is from the Office International des Epizootes or OIE, which is now the World Organization for Animal Health, submitted to the Department of Agriculture, which includes bovine anasplasmosis, babesiosis, tuberculosis, bovine viral diarrhea, and so on. These are the diseases that can affect not only the cattle but also other species. This diagram shows the factors affecting the cattle which leads to disease, infection, and its outcome. So we can see here extrinsic factors like intensive production, confinement, shipment, management change, and climatic change, which this causes stress to the cattle. And other intrinsic factors like poor nutrition or deficiencies. This also can make our cattle immunocompromised, and the disease agent like bacteria, virus, so this will have an opportunity to attack the cattle. So once the cattle is infected, so possible infection, concurrent infection, and secondary complications may occur, and these microorganisms will have incubation, and then the disease process wherein the clinical signs will be manifested. And after that, the animal outcome can die early or can die slowly as here delayed, or convalescence, or it will recover. So it can completely recover, or it will gain immunity against these viruses, bacteria, or parasites. So we will discuss the common diseases in cattle and buffalo. These are only the common and just overview. First is lice infestation, signs and symptoms, itchy, skin, frequent scratching on post wall or other hard object. The lice causes irritation. So, pinaka-con nito is yung irritation, no? Yung pinaka-common na magiging effect nito sa ating hayop. Kasi pagka lagi silang irritated, di rin sila makakain, di sila makainom. Ayun. So, nagkakaroon ng effect sa ating production. And to prevent and control these lice, we can spray insecticides or dipping and also regular shaving. Next is coccidiosis. Actually, this is the one causing the calf diarrhea or calf scars. Primary disease that affects young animals but can affect older animals too in poor conditions or immunocompromised. In subacute infections, the main clinical is soft and loose feces. In severe cases, nagkaroon na ng inappetence, lethargy, and diarrhea with blood. And signs of abdominal discomfort. Pinaka-effect nito, makikita natin yung poor feed conversion. Nangangayayat yung ating mga guya, yung mga calf, and nagiging bansot. Next is eyeworms or Thalasia. Clinical findings from asymptomatic to conjunctivitis, excessive lacrimation, keratitis, corneal clouding, or subconjunctival cyst. Kung bubuksan natin yung mata nila, may mga worms sa kanilang conjunctiva. Kung makita natin dito sa photo, may mga flies kasi. So nangingitlog sila doon sa mata ng ating alaga, no? So how to treat and control environmental measures to control flies. We can also administer ivermectin or levamisole, and good hygiene sa stable para matanggal natin yung mga flies na nangingitlog sa mga mata ng ating mga alaga. Next is liver fluke. Ito isang parasite, no? Symptoms, hepatitis and liver injury, thin fat tissue and muscle are atrophied, pale conjunctiva, anemia, and jaundice, and edematous face, julep, and under the lower jaw. Yan, tinatawag na battle jaw. And low appetite, low digestion, and crushed feces. Kung titignan natin dito sa kanyang life cycle, no? So it is fecal oral route, and yung snail ang kanilang intermediate host. So ayun, the eggs will be excreted sa feces, then yung snail magkakaroon ng contact sa mga eggs, then they will be deposited on the grass. Sa grass yung mga cyst, then yung grass kakainin ng ating hayop. So ayun, nagkaroon ng cycle ng ating mga liver fluke or other parasites. So control anthelmintics, of course, and pasture management. So ito yung itsura ng ating Fasciola hepatica. Yung eggs niya and yung Metacercaria, and yung ating baka na merong infested ng Fasciola hepatica. Next is Sura or Trypanosoma evansai. Ito ay isang parasite, protozoan parasite, no? So symptoms, intermittent fever, magkakaroon siya ng fever ng 1 o 2 araw sa umaga sa kahapon, tapos tigil, then after 1 or 2 days magkakaroon ulit ng fever, Tapos meron siyang nervous symptoms, nanginginig siya, weight loss, and of course anemia. So how can we diagnose it? We collect blood and we do serologic examination and clinical evaluation. And treatment, chemotherapeutics and control of tsetse fly. Next is the hemorrhagic septicemia, or most commonly called shipping fever. It's an acute, highly fatal form of pasteurellosis that affects mainly water buffalo, cattle, and bison. Common stressors associated with outbreak of hemorrhagic septicemia includes high temperature and humidity, concurrent infection, poor nutrition, and stress. Common symptoms ito, hypersalivation, tapos may sipon siya, nasal discharge, labored respiration. So, ito, mabilis din ang nakakamatay ito ng ating alagang hayop. No? So, treatment and prevention, pagka kaya pa, antimicrobials administered early in the disease. Pero ang pinaka-importante nito, dapat bakunado ang ating mga baka, kalabaw, bago pa makasagap ng hemorrhagic septicemia. Next is the traumatic reticuloperitonitis, or also known as hardware disease or cardiac tamponade. So, hardware disease kasi ito yung ating baka nakakain ng mga pako, ng wire. So, ito nakaka-injure siya dun sa kanyang stomach. And then, yung stomach na to, tutusok siya sa reticulum, then mabubutas yung kanyang stomach. So magkakaroon siya ng leakage sa kanyang abdominal cavity. So nagkakaroon ng bacterial growth resulting to peritonitis. Pwede rin yung ating metal pieces na to, tutusok siya sa kanyang heart, no? So, kaya siya tinawag na cardiac tamponade. So, magkakaroon naman siya ng internal bleeding. So, symptoms, swollen jugular vein. Kita natin dito sa photo, dito sa taas, sa kanan. Kitang-kita yung kanyang jugular vein na malaki. Edema sa chest and julep. Tachycardia, fast heartbeat. No? Fever, poor appetite, sudden onset of rumino-reticular atony, and arched back, erect hairs and withers, anxious expression, reluctance to move, and uneasy and careful gait. So dito sa ating kaliwang photo, medyo kita mo yung pagka-arko nung kanyang likod, no? Which is a very common sign ng reticuloperitonitis. For diagnosis, of course, we do clinical examination, testing for presence of reticular foreign body, laboratory testing, ultrasound, or x-ray. Sa treatment natin, nagbibigay tayo ng magnet. Pinapainom natin ng magnet yung ating alaga para mamagnet yung mga metal objects. Or, kung wala talaga, rumenotomy, surgery na. Next is poisoning. So, there are many possible causes. Ingestion of poisonous grass or forage, ingestion of grass treated with pesticides, or yung high urea content nung ating dayami na binigay. Maraming klaseng poison. So, symptoms, acute type, nagkakaroon siya ng slobbering, watery eyes, red eyes, minsan diarrhea with bloody feces. Kung yung ating toxin nandun na siya sa nervous system, medyo groggy siya, pwede siyang matumba, parang hindi siya at ease, no? Pwede ring pagka nasa respiratory and circulatory system na, ayun, pwede pa siyang mamatay within 3 to 6 hours. Pagka chronic type naman, parang unti-unti lang siyang naka-intake ng toxic chemicals in a long time. And then later on, pagka enough na yung toxin sa katawan, saka lang siya magmamanifest ng clinical signs. So most of the time, liver is the most affected and it will be depressed and causing chronic diarrhea. Anong magagawa natin? Tawag tayo kaagad ng veterinaryo. No? So for treatment, dapat malaman natin kung ano yung cause ng poisoning. Kasi mahirap i-treat ito kung di natin malaman kung ano yung pinanggalingan ng poisoning. So as first aid, if caused by poisonous grass or pesticide, ito, first aid. Yung kape, kasi ito, nag-absorb to ng toxins. No? Bibigyan siya orally ng caffeine. And also, yung oral electrolytes. If ingestion of high urea, magkaroon siya ng hypersalivation, and parang tutumba-tumba siya pagka naglakad, and convulsion. No? Pwede rin kasing yung kanyang ruminal pH ay magiging alkalinic na, no? So, minsan as first aid, also binibigyan siya ng, kung high urea yung naging cause ng poisoning, as first aid, binibigyan siya ng vinegar orally. Next is bloat. Bloat can be a major cause of sudden death in feedlot cattle. The cause is entrapment of normal gases of fermentation. Ito din yung overconsumption ng legumes. Or pwede rin dahil sa obstruction sa kanyang ito sa esophagus or sa stomach or whatever. And signs and symptoms of ruminal bloat in cattle is yung lalaki yung kanyang left side ng stomach, no, ng kanyang abdomen. Discomfort as indicated by stamping feet. Sinisipa-sipa niya yung kanyang tiyan. Labored breathing. Of course, kasi to pagka yung kanyang stomach ay lumaki, napupush niya yung diaphragm and then yung ating lungs ay hindi maka-expand ng mabuti. So, nahirapan siyang mag-breathe. And frequent urination and defecation, then sudden collapse. So, in primary ruminal tympathy or frothy bloat, ito kasi yung mabula. No? The cause is entrapment of normal gases of fermentation in a stable foam. Feedlot bloat is the common in cattle that have been in grain diet for 1 to 2 months. In secondary ruminal tympany or free gas bloat, ito yung physical obstruction of eructation caused by esophageal obstruction due to foreign object. Hindi siya maka-dighay, no? Kasi kailangan nila mag-dighay para ma-release yung gas sa kanilang rumen. Treatment ng bloat, sa frothy bloat, binibigyan natin sila ng anti-foaming agents which is administered through drenching. In free gas bloat, pwede tayong maglagay ng rumen fistula or removal of the obstruction. In life-threatening cases of bloat, an emergency rumenotomy may be necessary. It is accompanied by an explosive release of ruminal contents and thus mark relief for the cow. Recovery is usually uneventful with only occasional minor complications. Pwede tayong gumamit ng trocar and cannula as emergency relief of the free gas bloat. Next important disease of our cattle is this bovine tuberculosis. It is, take note, this is a zoonotic disease na naka-apekto to sa tao. So, symptoms, depending on organ infected and seriousness, symptoms may be different. Kung pulmonary TB, the TB bacteria invade in the bronchi, trachea, and larynx, make the cow have husky cough, coughing with sputum. Parang may plema siya. The cattle usually cough in the early morning, late in the afternoon, and in the cold day. Pagka intestinal TB naman, nagkakaroon siya ng chronic diarrhea, foul odor feces, nagkakaroon siya diarrhea, tapos constipation, tapos diarrhea, constipation, then gradual weight loss. Pagka lymph TB naman, yung kanyang mga tawag nito, lymph nodes, mga namamaga. Other TB, ito naman sa kanyang mammary glands. Yung other and pits are deformed. Mammary lymph nodes are swollen, hard, and rough. And yung, of course, milk-yield drops also. The upper photo shows the cow with tuberculosis infection. It become weak and emaciated. So, always call veterinarian as soon as possible and do not attempt to treat. Kasi zoonotic to and ayun nga, very dangerous na sakit. In control, we do regular TB testing every 6 months to 12 months. Ito sa lower photo, kita nyo yung testing sites. No? So, pagka ito tumigas, nagkaroon ng induration, meaning positive siya sa TB. Pagka walang reaction, negative. So, yung mga positive sa TB, ang control talaga is to euthanize. Next disease is the anthrax. This disease can be viable in soil for many years. Nasa 75 years yata, pwedeng mabuhay siya sa lupa. No? The clinical course range from per-acute to chronic. In per-acute form, common in cattle and sheep, characterized by sudden onset and rapidly fatal course, staggering, dyspnea, trembling, collapse, and death after only a brief period of illness may occur. In acute anthrax of cattle and sheep, there is an abrupt onset of fever and a period of excitement followed by lethargy, stupor, respiratory or cardiac distress, seizures, and death. The course of this disease is so rapid that illness is not observed. And ayun, makita na lang natin yung ating animal sa bukid, patay na. So common postmortem lesions, pagka nakita natin yung ating animal, wala siyang rigor mortis o yung hindi siya tumitigas, no? Absent siya. And nagkakaroon ng bloody discharge yung kanyang sa bunganga, sa nostril, saka sa kanyang anus with marked bloating and rapid body decomposition. So mode of transmission nitong anthrax is from wound inoculation, ingestion, or inhalation. How to control and prevent? Vaccination, and kailangan din natin pagka may nagkaroon na tayo ng mga cases, no, kailangan nating ibaon at sunugin, lagyan ng disinfectant, lagyan ng lime, apog yung kanilang pinaglibingan, sunugin, para mamatay yung anthrax spores. Next is the lameness o pamimilay. So dito sa photo na to, ito yung 5-point Sprecher system for the evaluation of lameness. So makikita mo yung baka pagka may lameness, yung mahaba yung kanyang steps. Yan, number 1. Number 2, yung medyo curve na yung likod niya, tapos medyo maigsi lang yung, maliit lang yung kanyang mga steps. Number 3, curve na yung likod niya, tapos parang matanda na, unti-unti lang siyang maglakad. Parang usad pagong lang yung kanyang lakad. Number 4 is yung curve din yung kanyang likod, tapos kita mo talaga na pilay, no? Yung number 5, ito very obvious na yung kanyang lameness kasi nahihiga na siya. Lameness occurs when an animal has leg or foot pain that affects how they move. So this is an animal health and also as animal welfare concern, no? So hindi lang din yun, kasi pagka atang ating mga animals ay pilay, hindi yan makakain, mga ngayayat yan, so production issue din. This pain due to lameness often limits the growth because animals may be reluctant to eat or drink. Hindi sila makakain, hindi sila makainom, namayat, hindi makapag-produce ng gatas. Ayun, so yan ang kanyang effect. Possible causes, wound or trauma, pwede ring congenital or acquired disorder, karoon ng infection, metabolic disorder, or nervous and circulatory system disease. One cause of lameness is the digital dermatitis, or it is an infectious condition of the skin that commonly occurs in the interdigital cleft of the foot, so sa pagitan ng kanyang hoof, no? Cow's foot are damaged by mechanical irritation and maceration by water and chemicals. A synergistic group of bacteria can invade the compromised skin barrier and create acute inflammation and infection of the dermis and epidermis. Another cause of lameness, ito yung foot rot or yung heel horn erosion. Okay, so in conclusion, feedlot cattle farming is important in the progress of the livestock industry. There are several infectious and non-infectious diseases that we have discussed earlier that have enormous negative impact in the industry as well as threat to human health. So, merong zoonotic transmission from our cattle to human and human to cattle. And knowledge on these diseases and its management is very beneficial to both farmers and the veterinarians. But of course, as non-veterinarian, we need always to consider calling and informing our veterinarians. Meron tayong mga veterinarians from LGU, from provincial government, from regional, meron ding mga private practitioners, no? Kasi sila yung mas nakakaalam ng ating pangangalaga at treatment ng ating mga alagang hayop. These are my references. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.